It's not over until you win, and I want you to let those words sink into the very core of your being. Because there are going to be days when everything in you wants to give up. There are going to be nights when the weight of your failures feels unbearable. There are going to be seasons when the obstacles in your way look like mountains that cannot be moved. But I came here to remind you that you are stronger than your struggles. You are greater than your pain. You are more resilient than the storms you are facing. And just because it looks impossible doesn't mean it is impossible. Just because you have fallen doesn't mean you can't get back up. Just because you've been delayed doesn't mean you've been denied. Because the truth is, the only way you truly lose is if you quit. The only way you forfeit your destiny is if you surrender before the fight is over. And I promise you this, your fight is not finished. Your best days are still ahead of you, and your miracle, your breakthrough, your victory is still waiting if you just refuse to quit. If you just hold on a little longer, if you just push past the pain, if you just silence the voice of doubt inside your head. Because winners are ordinary people who made an extraordinary decision that no matter how many times they fail, no matter how many doors close in their face, they will not stop until they win. And I want you to think about your life right now. I want you to think about those dreams you buried because people told you they were unrealistic. I want you to think about those goals you gave up on because the process got too hard. I want you to think about those moments where you let fear talk you out of moving forward. And I want you to understand this. Those dreams are still alive. Those goals are still possible. Those opportunities are still waiting, but they are waiting for the stronger version of you. The version of you who refuses to let life dictate the terms. The version of you who refuses to be broken by rejection. The version of you who refuses to be defined by failure, because failure is not final. Failure is feedback. Failure is proof that you're in the game. Failure is evidence that you had the courage to try. And as long as you keep trying, as long as you keep swinging, as long as you keep showing up, you are still in the fight, and you are still destined to win. Because the only way the enemy defeats you is if you decide you're finished. But when you rise up and declare it's not over until I win, when you make that decision in your soul that I will not stop until I cross the finish line, that I will not stop until I fulfill my purpose, that I will not stop until I become who I was created to be, then nothing and no one can stop you. Not the critics, not the haters, not the setbacks, not even the failures. Because your willpower becomes a force of nature. Your determination becomes unstoppable. Your resilience becomes unshakable. And life has no choice but to yield to the person who refuses to quit. So don't let the heartbreak stop you. Don't let the disappointment paralyze you. Don't let the temporary pain convince you that permanent defeat is your destiny. Because you are more powerful than you realize. And the truth is this, you will always face challenges, you will always face opposition, you will always face struggles, but you were built for the battle, you were designed for the fight. And if you keep pushing, if you keep pressing, if you keep believing, you will win. Because it's not over until you win, and the story of your life is still being written. The chapters ahead are still blank pages waiting for your courage to fill them. And one day when you look back, you will see that every tear, every setback, every failure was shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you for the moment when you finally stood victorious. Because victory belongs to those who refuse to quit. And hear me on this, because sometimes life will hit you so hard that you will question everything you thought you knew. Sometimes life will knock the wind out of you and leave you staring at the ceiling, wondering if you have what it takes. Sometimes life will strip you of people you love, opportunities you counted on, and dreams you held close to your heart. And in those moments, it will feel easier to give in, to bow your head in defeat, to convince yourself that maybe it just wasn't meant to be. But that is the trap. That is the lie. That is the deception that keeps millions of people from ever living the life they were capable of. Because the truth is, you are stronger than you think. The truth is, you have the capacity to rise from ashes. The truth is, you are wired with resilience. And when you make the declaration that it's not over until I win, you activate a fire within you that cannot be extinguished. Because determination burns hotter than disappointment. Faith burns brighter than fear. And hunger burns longer than hardship. And I want you to remember the moments in your life when you thought you were finished. I want you to remember the nights when you didn't know how you were going to make it. I want you to remember the days when everything seemed impossible, but somehow, some way you made it through. Somehow you found the strength to keep going. Somehow you survived. And if you survived that, you can survive this. If you overcame that, you can overcome this. If you made it out of that darkness, you can walk through this valley because you have proof inside your own story that you are a fighter, that you are a warrior, that you are a survivor. And if you are still breathing, if you are still standing, if you are still here, then your fight is not finished. Your story is not complete. Your victory is still ahead. So stop telling yourself it's too late. Stop telling yourself you're too broken. Stop telling yourself you've missed your chance, because as long as there is breath in your body, there is still hope. As long as you can think, as long as you can move, as long as you can choose, you can still change the direction of your life. You can still rewrite the end. You can still rise from the pit to the promise, but you have to stop waiting for easy, because nothing great ever comes easy. And you have to stop wishing it was simpler, because the difficulty is what develops you. The struggle is what shapes you. The hardship is what hammers out your strength. So embrace the process, embrace the fight, embrace the struggle, because it's the very thing preparing you for the victory that's coming. And when you look back one day, you'll understand why it had to be so hard. You'll understand why you had to cry. You'll understand why you had to wait. Because all of it was necessary to build the version of you strong enough to win. And when that day comes, you will stand as living proof that it's not over until you win. And I need you to realize this, because every time you decide to rise again after being knocked down, every time you decide to keep moving after the door slammed in your face, every time you decide to believe in yourself when no one else does, you are training your mind, your heart, and your spirit to understand that you are unstoppable. You are conditioning yourself to become relentless. You are proving to yourself that you are stronger than whatever tried to break you. And that strength will carry you when others give up. That strength will keep you standing when others sit down. That strength will allow you to finish the race when others walk away halfway through. And that strength is not something you are born with. It is something you build. It is something you forge in the fire of adversity. It is something that grows every time you declare it's not over until I win. Because when you make that declaration, you're not just speaking words. You're programming your subconscious. You're telling your future. You're commanding your destiny. You're speaking to every cell in your body, to every ounce of energy within you, that quitting is not an option. Failure is not final. Defeat is not permanent. And giving up is not who you are, because you were born to win. You were born to rise. You were born to conquer. And yes, the road will be long. Yes, the nights will be lonely. Yes, the climb will be steep, but the mountaintop is worth it. The victory is worth it. The dream is worth it, because on the other side of your pain is your promise. On the other side of your struggle is your strength. On the other side of your endurance is your elevation. And you will never know just how strong, how gifted, how powerful you really are until life pushes you to the point where quitting seems easier. And you choose to keep going anyway. Until life corners you with no way out. And you decide to fight your way through until life strips you of every excuse. And you stand tall and say, I am not done yet. It's not over until I win. And that is the kind of decision that transforms lives. That is the kind of decision that shifts generations. Because when you win, it's not just for you, it's for your family. It's for your children. It's for the people who are watching you. It's for the ones who need to see what's possible. And you don't even realize how many lives are connected to your courage, how many destinies are waiting on your determination, how many breakthroughs are tied to your boldness. And so you cannot quit, you cannot give up, you cannot throw in the towel, because when you fight, others learn how to fight when you rise. Others are inspired to rise when you win. Others are empowered to believe that they can win too. And that is why your fight matters. That is why your story matters, why your persistence matters, because it's not just about you. It's about every life your victory will touch. And that should light a fire in you to keep moving, to keep pushing, to keep believing, to keep pressing. Because the world needs your victory. The world needs your story. The world needs your example. And you must remind yourself every single day, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how slow the progress feels, no matter how far away the dream looks, it's not over until I win. And I want you to carry this with you, because the moment you decide it's not over until I win, you start to see setbacks differently. You start to view obstacles as stepping stones. You start to treat failures as teachers. And instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this trying to teach me? What is this preparing me for? What strength is being built in me right now? And when you make that shift, nothing can defeat you, because you understand that everything is working for your growth, even the pain, even the heartbreak, even the loneliness. And when you hold that perspective, you cannot be broken, you cannot be shaken, you cannot be stopped, because your mind has been anchored in the truth that you will win as long as you keep going, as long as you refuse to quit, as long as you continue to stand. And that's the difference between those who succeed and those who surrender. It's not about talent. It's not about luck. It's about persistence. It's about endurance. It's about grit. It's about deciding, I will not stop until I see this through. And once you've made that kind of decision, once you've drawn that line in your soul, nothing external can defeat you, because the battle is already won internally. And when you win inside, life has no choice but to reflect it outside. Because you will show up differently, you will speak differently, you will move differently, you will work differently, you will push differently, and people will look at you and wonder what changed. And the truth is, your circumstances didn't change first. Your mindset did, your belief did, your decision did. And that is what unlocks the door to victory. Because everything begins in the mind, everything begins with belief, everything begins with a decision. And once you decide, once you truly decide, there is no going back. Because winners are not people who never doubt. Winners are not people who never fear. Winners are not people who never stumble. Winners are people who feel the doubt and move anyway, who feel the fear and act anyway, who stumble and get back up anyway. And they keep doing it again and again until they cross the finish line. Because it's not over until they win. And that is the mindset you must adopt. That is the fire you must fuel every day. That is the conviction you must carry into every room, every challenge, every opportunity. Because the truth is, life will test you. Life will push you. Life will stretch you. But life cannot stop you unless you quit. And you will not quit. Because you've made the decision, you've made the declaration, you've burned the bridges, and now there is no turning back. There is only forward, there is only persistence, there is only progress, and there is only victory, because you will not stop until you win. And I need you to remember that when the pressure builds, when the weight feels unbearable, when everything in you screams to give up, that is the exact moment you are being stretched into the person you need to become to handle the blessing you've been praying for. That is the moment life is asking you, how bad do you really want it? That is the moment when you prove to yourself and the universe that your hunger is greater than your hardship. Your faith is greater than your fear. Your determination is greater than your disappointment. Because anybody can dream when it's easy. Anybody can speak positivity when the sun is shining. Anybody can claim victory when the path is smooth. But champions are made in the storm. Champions are made in the dark. Champions are made when there's no applause, no crowd, no spotlight, just the grind, the struggle, and the refusal to quit. And you are a champion in the making. You are a warrior in the waiting. You are a victor in training. And every single tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt is chiseling away the weakness, stripping away the excuses, burning away the hesitation. Until all that's left is a version of you so strong, so focused, so determined that nothing can stop you, because you've decided it's not over until I win. And when that decision becomes your heartbeat, when that conviction becomes your daily mantra, you start to walk differently. You start to talk differently. You start to carry yourself with the authority of someone who knows where they're going. And people may not understand you. People may doubt you. People may laugh at you. But they cannot deny the fire in your eyes. They cannot deny the passion in your voice. They cannot deny the relentless way you keep showing up. And that consistency will silence every critic. That resilience will outlast every hater. That persistence will break through every barrier, because nothing can defeat a person who refuses to quit. And you must remind yourself every single day that the pain you feel now is temporary. The struggle you endure now is temporary. The loneliness you carry now is temporary. But the reward, the growth, the victory will last forever. And when you finally win, when you finally reach that mountaintop, when you finally taste the sweetness of victory, it will all be worth it. And you will look back at every trial, every tear, every rejection and say thank you. Because it was those very things that prepared you, those very things that shaped you, those very things that forced you to dig deeper and rise higher. And without them, you would not be who you are. And without them, you would not be standing in victory. And that is why you must embrace the process, embrace the struggle, embrace the journey. Because every step is leading you closer to the moment when you prove to yourself and to the world that it's not over until you win. And I want you to hold on to this truth, because life will test your patience. Life will stretch your endurance. Life will ask you to keep climbing even when your legs are shaking. Life will demand that you believe in yourself even when the evidence is scarce. But those are the very moments that separate the ordinary from the extraordinary. Those are the moments that define champions. Those are the moments that shape legends. Because when you refuse to quit, when you refuse to bow to fear, when you refuse to surrender to doubt, you step into a rare group of people who understand that persistence breaks resistance, consistency crushes opposition, and faith moves mountains. And every time you get up after being knocked down, every time you take one more step when you feel like you can't go on, every time you look at the face of adversity and say, I'm still here, I'm still standing, I'm still moving forward, you are building momentum. You are creating an unstoppable force within you. And that momentum compounds, that resilience multiplies. That persistence stacks until one day the very walls that tried to keep you out collapse under the weight of your determination. Because nothing in this world can withstand a heart that refuses to quit. And you must remind yourself that your story is not over. Your dream is not dead. Your purpose is not finished, because there are still chapters unwritten. There are still victories unclaimed. There are still battles to fight and mountains to climb. And as long as you have breath, as long as you have strength, as long as you have a will to keep moving, you have everything you need to win, because the only way you lose is if you quit. And quitting is not in your DNA. Quitting is not in your blood. Quitting is not who you are. You are a fighter, you are a warrior, you are a believer. You are someone who has been through too much to stop now. You are someone who has cried too many tears to throw it all away now. You are someone who has sacrificed too much to walk away empty-handed. So keep going, keep pushing, keep climbing, keep pressing, because the victory is closer than you think. The breakthrough is nearer than it looks. The finish line is not as far as it feels, and if you just refuse to quit, if you just hold on a little longer, if you just keep showing up, you will discover that everything you've been working for, everything you've been praying for, everything you've been fighting for is waiting for you. Because it's not over until you win, and the truth is, winners don't quit, they adjust. Winners don't quit, they adapt. Winners don't quit, they endure. And that is who you are. You are a winner in the making, a victor in the fight, the champion in training. And if you refuse to stop, if you refuse to surrender, if you refuse to let go of your dream, then sooner or later the world will have no choice but to call you what you already know yourself to be, a winner.